So, hold on. It's not, this is going, okay. When you were lifting weights, what did you do? Just curious. Light weights, you said?
Well, they're lightweights,
Yeah.
but
What did you do with them?
they're still effective. Uh, they are
Hold on a
like
second, because I don't want to go down a rabbit hole too much. What did you do?
I lifted the 5-pound weights. We do this, and we do this, and we do um, other stuff is non-hip stuff like this and this
Mhm.
and a little bit of this.
But isn't it interesting? I love what you just said. You're like, we did non-hip stuff. Oh, right?
Uh-huh. I
Are you
did see that.
are you drawing some connections?
I'm drawing a connection that it's all of me is connected.
Yes, yes, exactly.
I know that. So that's like an
Me
old
too.
old habit.
Well, also, we talk about it in here all the time, right? So, your stabilizers, right? The inner core spinal muscles are stabilized and doing their job. So as you lift the weight, like there's more weight out here, right? Something in here has to keep you because there's a force here. Other you would go down if you didn't have something over here going, oh, hold her back so she doesn't tilt, right? It's going, oh, we'll pull you back up. So this place where your hip is talking to you, it's showing you what muscles are you're using, right? And it's showing you old patterns. So be mindful and use your abs the way we do in class, the way you've learned in class. Use your abs in that effective way, not all your abs, right? You're going to use 50% of your abs to keep you stable. And that's going to help. You're still going to tighten your spine because it is. But you have this, as you know, you probably did this on purpose too, you want to do the spinal tightening activity, which you just located inside of your body, right? You want to do your spinal tightening activity first and use your spinal release after so you don't stay tight and you don't start taking this, like taking a screwdriver and just go down and down and down, right? We want to, if it goes down, we want to open it back up. Okay. All right. So with that, I'm glad something pulled me to ask you today what was going on. And so we always follow that intuition, right? But let's go ahead and get started.
All right. And thanks.
Yeah, my pleasure.
And good morning, Nuria.
So
Good
as
morning,
you
Kendra.
get be bringing your awareness to your body, to anything alive in this moment. Simply notice where we're starting, right? We talk about that shift sheet. And Jennifer, you didn't have the shift sheet, but I can certainly give you a copy of the shift sheet, which is how we document what we're feeling in the beginning. Like you can always actually, I might have given it to you along the way. We can always be documenting before class. This is where I'm starting. And then go at the end of class. This is where I'm ending. And it's really, I've never said it like this, but I realized last night, I kind of called it a tracker before, a transformational tracker, but really it's a self-coaching tool because we're learning about ourselves so deeply, what's going on. Just the simple act of me asking you, Jennifer, at the beginning, what's alive for you in your body right now, right? And you started going, you went in and you noticed about your hip and you talked about your weight training, right? It's like there's a connection. There's maybe something else happened between 9:30 and 10:30, right? Probably not. We have a pretty clear path from weightlifting to hip issue or, hip awareness or pain or whatever you're going to label it. But when we take the time to do this shift sheet and notice what we're doing in daily life also and track some things, we can start coaching ourselves, right? Through experiences and giving our body what we need, right? So we're always doing that throughout class too. We center here with the Shavasana around that. What am I noticing? And then I'm going to take you through every part of your body. Okay, so notice how, first of all, how the body's been settling as I've been speaking, right? And notice your toes, all 10 toes, and both feet, outside and inside. Become aware of your ankles and extend this awareness through the length of both legs, lower legs, knees, thighs, and into both hips and hip joints, outside and inside. Being aware of both feet, legs, and hips, outside and inside. And taking your awareness and bringing it to your hips and hip joints, across the base of your pelvis, outside, inside, into and through your belly, outside and inside. Become aware of your chest, your whole chest, including across your collarbones and the fronts of your shoulders, outside and inside. And taking your awareness, extending it down your arms and into your hands. Notice your fingers and thumbs, hands and wrists. In and through the length of both arms. Into your underarms and shoulders. Hands, arms, and shoulders, outside and inside. Wrapping your awareness around to your back, becoming aware of your whole back, including the back of your shoulder blades, the space between your shoulder blades, the back of your ribs, waist, hips, and buttocks. And from this lower central part of your waist down through your sacrum into your tailbone. Being aware of your whole back, your whole torso, front and back, outside and inside. Extending your awareness from your torso through your shoulders into your neck, face, and head. Outside and inside. Being aware of your whole body, allowing Shavasana to have an effect on your whole body, your mind, and more. And then allow yourself to notice your natural breathing pattern. Inhale, expansion. Exhale, softening. Notice how your breath moves through your throat. And begin to narrow your inner throat passageway slightly. Use your inner throat muscles, not your neck muscles, to narrow this passageway. And you can even cough or clear your throat slightly to bring your awareness to these muscles. And again, more gently still. As you narrow the throat passageway in this way, you can hear the sound of your breath more easily. Listen to the sound as it moves in, as it moves out. Slow down your breath so the sound becomes quieter and more internal. Smooth out the flow of your breath. So the sound is smooth and steady from the beginning through the middle, all the way to the end. The same sound on the exhale as the inhale, and the inhale as the exhale. Let the sound of your breath have an effect on your mind as well as your body. As you simply listen to this quiet, inner, secret sound that only you can hear. One or two more Ujjayi breaths. And then you can let your inner throat muscles soften. And your natural, easy breathing pattern to resume. And we're still observing. So always observing the body in this practice, which simply means I'm being present with it, right? So observe, be present to what is different for you now from when you first laid down. You can compare when you first laid down, you can compare when you first started your Ujjayi to now. There's so many data points, right? You just simply notice and allow the practice of noticing to become richer and richer and richer. And then bring your knees up to your chest. Roll over to your side. And rest there for a couple breaths as you slowly transition up, pressing into your hands and arms. So, oh, let me talk about where we're going. I was getting ready to just start demonstrating. All right, so we've transitioned into bridge pose, also known via Sanskrit as Setu Bandhasana. Bandhu means to bind, to lock. So sometimes people do bandhas in their pelvis, like at the basically usually at the diaphragm areas. So people but the one in the pelvis is very familiar for a lot of people. Some, especially if you've done Kegels, which I do not recommend, by the way, because it is a spinal tightening activity, which will make things weaker, which will make you leak more, which is the reason why people are doing Kegels in the first place. All right. So, but people will hold, so you can pull in, right, from your pelvis. You could try it now because we're going to release everything anyway, right? You can pull your pelvis in a little, right? We do it a little when we're trying to hold to wait to get to the bathroom. Okay, so that's called a bandha. All right, so this is a kind of level one, at least, of a bandha. So let's talk about the contraindications and dangers. So students with low back pain and sciatica have great difficulty finding this way of moving, typically. It's not always the case. On Tuesday, we had someone who low back pain, but this is where this is a gray area, right? In this pose, some poses have real contraindications, and you'll see me be very like, no, do not do, right? And then this is a more of a gray area, I would say. So if you've been with me for a long time and you experience any of those things, you're probably going to know how to work with your body differently than someone who's newer. Okay. So anyway, we could do a substitute pose though if you need it. All right. The benefits of bridge are it releases tension in muscles connected to the vertebrae along the waist, because we're going to be lengthening through that waist area and through the lower back. It relieves back pain. It restores spinal flexibility and helps create good spinal alignment. Yes, that's a good one. Gives movement in internal hip and low back musculature. Should be interesting for you today, Jennifer, because of what you've been talking about with your hip. Okay. But especially in the SI joints, right? So the sides of the sacrum. It's good for organs of reproduction, elimination, and digestion. And then, as every pose has, it always has the physical attributes, likely attributes, right? And then it has the mental emotional. So this one, it calms the mind, reduces anxiety and depression. Okay. So it's also a pose what we use to find our hamstrings more. So we've been working on finding those hamstrings a bunch lately. So we're going to do that in a different way today, right? So we're also, because it's an extension, we're going to warm up with lunge. So let's go ahead and get our blocks and square off on all fours. And start getting the waist vertebrae opening up. So as we square off, we're going to lean over to the left and bring the right foot forward and through. And lean over to that left hand and arm, press up, find some space for your right hand to come in to that low right belly. So we're going to press in through the low right belly and pull it sideways on the thigh. And then you're going to bring the palm underneath the chest to the front low ribs. We're going to press in, lift and lengthen the rib cage toward the knee. Lower the hand, lower your head all the way, and then shift forward. Once you come forward, make sure you realign your wrist under your shoulders and realign your ankle under your knee. So the arms and the shin are perpendicular to the floor. And you can actually lean into your body and let your bones support you in these angles instead of your muscles gripping and holding and bracing. We can't open if we're gripping and holding and bracing, right? We're doing the opposite, the antidote to that. And you let your neck and head drape down. And because we're going to do lunge 3 times today, notice, let's track even what we're noticing about our lunge as we go. What's the experience like right now? First thing out of the gates. And then press into your hands, shift your hips back, bring your knee to the floor. And let's do the lunge on the other side. So lean to the right. Let that left foot come forward and through. And of course, press up on the opposite hand, your right hand. That'll make some space for your left hand to find the low left belly. You're going to press into the belly tissue, pull it sideways on your thigh as much as you can. Take your time, dig deep, pull it over as much as you can. Then bring your palm underneath your front low ribs under the chest, lift and lengthen toward your knee. Lower your hand, lower your head, shift forward. And then get your wrist under your shoulders and your ankle under your knee. Notice if you're leaning into your bones. So when you lean in, that means you're leaning down and towards your palm, your foot, the sole of your foot, right? Your knee. You should feel that downward sensation. When we brace and hold, we'll hold back from that a little bit. So do your best to lean in and down. And then press into your hands, shift your hips back. And I'm going to demonstrate the bridge pose this first time so you kind of see where we're going. Or and reviewing if you've seen it already. Okay, so you can have your head support. We're going to be on the back. And we're going to bring the feet as close as we can to the buttocks. So we've been doing some poses recently, right, where we have an upside down teepee, right? And that's not going to work for this one. Okay, so we bring the feet close. You can even reach down and try to pull them back a little bit. They don't have to touch. They're just going to be as close as you can. Also, my feet are in Tadasana angle, so my big toe ball joints are touching or nearly touching, and my heels slightly apart. So what I am going to do is simply press into my feet. And as I press into my feet, I'm going to drive my knees away from me. Okay. So I'll slowly press into my feet. My knees are going away from me. And then because my legs are attached to my pelvis and my torso, that lifts up. And you can see I can bring my hands underneath my buttocks. Okay. So I'm not going to push up so far that there's a lot of space here. All right. But I also don't want to press up so little I can't get my hands under. So I'm just going to press into my feet enough to clear. And I'll check it with my hands. My buttock should touch the top of my hands, but not rest into them. Okay. And I'm going to hold for a little bit. So this is lengthening through here because my knees are going away from me, right? And after holding for a little bit, before I go down, I'm going to notice, bring my awareness to the back of my body and notice what part of my spine is on the floor and where does it start to lift off. You could even take your hands, if you're having a hard time feeling that at first, you could take your hands in and feel, oh, okay, this is the first vertebrae that's lifted off. Okay, and then I'm going to slowly let my torso, I know it's a little hard to see because it's so slight, but I'm going to slowly let one vertebrae come down and the next, and next it's literally rolling down one at a time until my hips and buttocks are down. And I'm resting all the way. Okay, we're going to do this 3 times. All right, so let's do it together. Any questions before we start?
No.
Okay. So as you come down on your back with your head support, and it is not under your neck and shoulders, right? Just under your head. You're going to bring your feet as close as you can to your hips, even if you sometimes might need to reach down a little bit to help. And put your feet in that Tadasana angle so the big toe ball joints are touching and the heels are slightly apart. Okay, we're going to press into the feet. In fact, don't even lift yet. Just practice pressing the feet into the floor. You can feel something starting to change, right? And you can feel the hamstrings engaging. Just pressing into the feet. Okay, so now press into your feet and push your knees away from you towards the back of the room or opposite from your head. Only so much as you can just slide your hands under. So you can now slide your hands under, make sure there's enough room to clear for just your hands, not more, not less. You'll feel maybe, some lengthening, stretching along the front of your thighs. Once you've brought your hands underneath, you can bring them back out again. Okay. Notice the first vertebrae that's come off the floor. So pay attention, bring all your awareness to the back of your body. There's going to be some vertebrae on the floor, right? And some coming off. And if you're really struggling, like try to notice, but if you're really struggling, you can come in and bring your fingers in and feel it. Okay, and then start to let the vertebrae come down. So you're noticing how high up the floor is off, and we're going to start to let that part that's off roll down one at a time. One vertebrae after the next, until your hips are down and your buttocks are resting. Okay, now this might change. That's why we're paying attention to which vertebrae are on the floor and which are off. Okay, so let's do it again. Press into your feet, push your knees away from your head. That brings your hips up. You're going to test to make sure we didn't go up too high. So slide your hand. Oh, look, I went up a little too high, I'd say. So I bring my hands underneath my buttocks, only go up so high as you need to clear for your hands, and then let your hands rest back out again. Bring your awareness to your spine. Like I notice I'm kind of shaking back, like my spine wants to let go. It's kind of like a quivering. It wants to let go and sag, but it's trying to figure out how to do that. So which vertebrae now is the first vertebrae off the floor? And which the last vertebrae that's on the floor? Can feel in with your fingers if you need to, and then let your hands come back out. And I've dropped down, maybe you have too. So let's just start to let the next vertebrae that's off come down, and the next, and the next, and the next. It's a slow roll. Your hamstrings are monitoring that roll until your hips and your buttocks are all the way down. Okay, and let's do one more time. So press into the feet, drive your knees away from your head towards your feet. Probably going to feel some things happen, some lengthening maybe across your, or some sensations right across your front of your legs. You can feel your hamstrings working, right? They're the ones doing the job. Try not to squish your buttocks, right? We're just trying to find the hamstring muscles here. Bring your hands underneath. Let's see if we're up high enough, right? If you can clear your hands, great, you're in the right space. If not, make an adjustment and then let your hands come back out. Notice this time, what's the first vertebrae that's lifted off the floor, and what's the last vertebrae that's still on the floor. Feel into your spine if you need to for that. Let your hand come back out, and then we'll come out of the pose one vertebrae at a time. So start to use your legs to let one vertebrae come down, then the next, then the next, and the next, until your hips are down, your buttocks are down, and you're completely resting. And once you've done all the way, you come all the way down, just hold your legs in child pose for a couple of breaths. Let everything you intended to use, all those muscles you wanted to use, and even the ones you didn't intend to use, you let it all rest back for a couple breaths here. And then roll over to your side and press up. So Noria, were you okay after doing the chair poses last on Tuesday? Because and everyone, we're going to get our chairs and get ready for the chair poses.
Yeah, it was okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, good. So
And I understood the bridge better this time.
yeah, okay, good. I'm glad to hear that. Thanks for the feedback. It's very
Sure.
natural for the first time we do stuff. Whether we're like in our business trying to do something new, or we're in a relationship and we're trying to, we're out of our comfort zone. Like anytime something's new, the body's a little bit protective. Like, what are we doing here? I don't know about this. So we do it again. I was always surprised. Even the poses that the poses my body, I guess I should say, freaked out about the most, and when it was new to me, the second and the third time, it was like almost like miracle poses by the third time, just how much the system relaxed. So just remember that going forward too, right? But anyway, let's get our chairs and if you need a platform for your feet, if you're a little shorter in stature, and your knees Your knees tend to be in a downward position when you're in a chair. Then you need to bring something under your feet and lift your feet, your legs up, because we're looking for this thigh bone to be parallel to the floor. And if you want me to see your feet, you're going to need to tilt the screen so I can see more. I'm going to be looking from the chest down to the feet for angles. So you might want to tilt it a little different. And once you sit down, you're going to go wide with your feet, with the ankles approximately under your knees. And now we're going to start fine tuning. So once we start with the ankles under the knees, and then turn the toes in with the outside edges of the feet now banking in. If your ankles are not under your knees anymore, right, just like me, I'm going to bring my ankles under my knees and turn my toes in. And I just keep bringing my ankles in until I can get this perpendicular line to the floor with the outside edges banked in, okay? So your right foot needs to come in more, Jennifer, and it's not uncommon. We've got one leg in the alignment and the other leg's tighter and not quite making it, right? Okay. Yeah, that looks good to me. Well, the right heel could come in a little bit more. Just bring your heel. Yep. There you go. And turn the toes in. All right. So now we're leaning our elbows into our knees. Let the hands hang down so there's no clasping, right, of any sort. And then let your neck and head hang down. The whole time, we're going to be mindful to keep the big toe ball joint down. So use the muscles that come across that big toe ball joint, and you're not pressing with all you've got, right? Just find those muscles of the foot there and keep your foot down. Now, if you're experiencing a need to not let your head go below your heart, or high blood pressure, hiatal hernia, detached retina, glaucoma, things like that are very good reasons why we won't go into a deeper inversion, right? Then stay here in stage 1. And if you're not experiencing those things, you can let your elbows slip in between your knees and come down into stage 2. Keep your big toe ball joints down. If you can use your toe muscles to maintain that, great. If you need a little extra help, you can use the base of the palm of your hand across your toe ball joints. It's good to use your body differently though. So if you can use those toe muscles, that's where we're going to get the most change. But do what you need to do for yourself. And if you're in stage 2, bring one elbow back to your knee and then the other, and press back up into stage 1 through your arms. Bring your hands to your thighs, tip your torso back into the chair, and then your neck and head will roll up at the end. And straighten your toes and notice the continuing effects of your pose for a few breaths. And then bring your feet together side by side, with your ankles under your knees. So make sure, this is very common, I'm exaggerating, but people bring their heels back a lot when they sit, which is going to tighten your spine. So bring this from yoga class into your life, okay? Get your heels under your knees. And then we're going to create a little more space. So use your toes to bring your feet forward about a toe length. So now we went from straight up and down, right, to a little bit forward. All right, and reach down and pick up your right ankle. Bring your right ankle on top of the thigh bone, right behind the knee. If your supportive leg wonked out at this point, use your inner thigh to bring your knee in alignment with your ankle. Now, this could be your max, and that's perfect for you if it is. And if you'd like to go a little deeper, then you're going to bring your knee towards your crooked knee, towards your torso. Use your other hand to slide your ankle back down your thigh toward the hip crease while staying on ankle bone, thigh bone. Okay, let your knees soften out to the side. Sit back in your chair, lower your head down. Your arms can be by your side or palm up on your lap. Just make sure you don't put any extra pressure out on this crooked knee. So the same thing applies here. Stay in stage one. If you had the contraindications in the last pose, stay in stage one here as well. And if you don't experience those things, then let's try stage two if you can. So take a nice deep in-breath. That lifts your torso when you do that, right? So nice deep in-breath. Lift and lengthen over your crooked knee. You have a choice here. Both hands can either go in between, hands and arms, go in between your knees, or you can do both hands and arms to the outside of your knees, but not one or the other. Just choose which way you prefer. Keep with your gentle, easy breathing. And if you're in stage two, bring both hands back to the supportive knee or thigh. Never the crooked knee, okay? Just press into the supportive leg and tip your torso back to stage one, which means your head is still down, your torso's in the back of the chair again. And to come out of the pose, we're going to raise our head up again and use your hands to bring this crooked knee closer to the torso. Okay, slide the ankle off the thigh bone with your other hand. So we don't just flop out of the pose. We're always looking to see when we can use arms, abs, and legs to do work so the spine can stay open, responsive, free, spacious. We keep doing the patterns of leading with our spine all the time. It's going to be a slower recovery. Okay. So reach down and pick up your left ankle. Oh wait, if your feet aren't where they started, you're gonna, I see some differences there on you, Jennifer. Bring your ankles underneath your knees with your feet side by side. Your feet are side by side. You have space between your feet, so come together. And then use your toes to bring your feet forward just a little bit again with a toe length, and then reach down for your left ankle and place your left ankle on the thigh bone. And so be mindful of the supportive leg. If it wonks out to the side, which happens sometimes, just use your inner thigh muscles to realign your knee with your foot. And now if this is your max, perfect. Stay here. If you think you can go deeper, we'll try that. So bring the knee toward your torso. Use your other hand to slide the ankle down the thigh towards the hip crease. Only so far as you can maintain ankle bone, thigh bone alignment. Don't come back and come off or in. Okay, it still needs thigh bone alignment. Then let your crooked knee soften out to the side. Sit back into your chair all the way. Use the chair for support, right? And lower your head down. Sit in your seat. That can be one of the ways that we brace and hold against the release. We don't actually use the chair to help us. So let yourself be grounded into your seat, using the back of the seat for support as well. Stay in stage 1 if that is what is most effective for you. Okay. Pushing is not effective, right? We can't push and release at the same time. So if you're going into stage 2, take a nice deep breath. That will lift your torso, right? So we take a breath, it lifts and lengthens as we fold our torso over our crooked knee, where you have a choice of either both hands and arms in between the knee or both hands and arms to the outside. Your neck and head, no matter what position you're in, are draping down. If you're in stage 2, bring both hands to the top of your supportive thigh. Press with keeping your head down, press your torso back into the chair, just coming back to stage 1. And then all together we can raise our head up, use your arms to dismount. So bring the knee close to the torso to protect the knee, and then slide your ankle off with your other hand to place your foot down on the floor again. Okay, let's do the chair lunge today. So this is where we sit sideways on the chair, and now I'm going to sit. So one buttock and cheek is on and one cheek is off. You should be able to feel that. You can use your back hand to hold on the back of the chair to keep your balance. Okay, so one is on for support, one is off. And what I want to do, because I can use my back arm to balance, is we tend to lean in towards the chair, right? But I want you to let these sit bones be even, right? So we're not tilted, they're even. And we have the ankles under the knees. I'm going to take my free hand and come across the body to the opposite side thigh, and it's going to help keep me square and forward. I can even start, like I noticed because I created this support with my opposite side hand, I could feel my hip. You may or may not feel this, but I could feel my hips start to, it stopped bracing as much, and it settled down, the free hip. Okay, so now we're going to let the knee just drop down wherever it goes. Okay, we're not trying to push back. We're not trying to stay forward. Just let it land where it would naturally land. And my toes are tucked under here. Okay, so much like leg longer, I'm going to press the toes into the floor, and then I'm going to press my heel away. I'm keeping my torso square, so I'm not contorting or twisting in any way. I'm using my hands and arms to keep me square. And then I'm going to stop pressing with my toes for a breath here. And maybe I got some release from that. So if I can, so now look, I can do it. I can whittle my foot back. I'm not trying to go farther than my body will naturally go. Okay, so when you find a resistance point, or your body wants to torque or something, you're not going to go that far, right? Just whittle it back as far as it will go. Then we'll do it again. So press the toes into the floor. Press the heel to the back of the room. You're still using your arms for support here, right? To stay in the chair, but also to stay square forward. And you can feel this lunge reaches in differently from the other lunge, right? So soften your toes and then just whittle your feet back. If it goes, if it doesn't go, it doesn't go. But if you can, without contorting, just let your leg whittle back a little bit more. And then it's wild how it releases, right? And then press your toes into the floor. Press your heel to the back of the room. Use your arms for support. Your spine be soft. And then you can soften your toes and let your foot come forward and sit naturally for a second. Each time that you could go back further, I know you probably know this, but sometimes it's like, it's kind of wild to relate things, right? That is a release that happened through the spine and the waist that allowed more movement to start occurring because it wasn't so tight, right? That all makes sense, I'm assuming. Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what are we doing? We're using, oh, I didn't even say to pull your abs in. So sorry. It happens pretty naturally when you hang one buttock off the side of a chair, right? Those abs are gonna, whoa, we need our abs, right? So it's a great example of using arms to hold, abs to support the spine, and the legs to create support so the spine lets go. All three at the same time. All right, so let's sit sideways. Use your back arm on the back of the chair to hold you upright. And so you don't feel like you're falling out, because we do want, you can even take your hand across, make sure you've got one buttock on, that's not encroaching a little bit, right? We want one totally off. Okay, we want our ankles under our knees. We're going to take your outside hand and bring it across to the opposite side thigh. And that's going to keep us square and create some support. Actually, now that I think about it, I don't think we do normally. I didn't say abs because we don't normally say abs in this. The arms are providing so much support, but you will feel them kick in for you, okay, automatically. So let your knee come down with your toes tucked under. And again, no forcing, straining, just let it land where it lands. Now press the toes into the floor and the heel to the back of the room. Notice what you notice. You can be comparing left to right side. Use your arms to create the support and your toes to create the lengthening and tractioning. And then you can soften your toes, and maybe you could whittle back a little bit more, see what your body will allow you to do. Don't go back so far that it's straining or twisting you in any way. You want your torso to remain like a plank forward, okay? All right, and press the toes into the floor. Press your heel to the back of the room. And soften your toes. Let's see if we got a little more opening. If you can, whittle your toes back a little bit more, or whatever it will do. Or even if it won't go back, it's fine. It's just your body doing what it can do. Press the toes into the floor. Press your heel to the back of the room. If there's a lot of extra muscles you don't need working, so let them soften. We're using the arms a lot here. The more you use your arms, the less you'll need to use any abs. Like, I don't feel my abs as much right now. Let your buttock be soft. We're using the hamstrings here again, right? Getting a lot of use. Okay, then soften your toes. Let your leg come forward. Just sit in your chair for a couple of breaths here. Noticing what you notice. And then you can put your chair to the side. And we'll come back to our Shavasana stack to do the twist and an alt leg. So avail yourself of a head support if you need that. Make sure you have your blocks on the other side. And then you'll come down into Shavasana. Bring your knees up. And roll over to the other side. And then you're going to come into the knee bone, wrist bone alignment. Bringing your feet forward so you create that 90-degree angle at the knee joint. Bring your upper palm to the side of your waist. And allow your elbow and shoulder to soften behind you. So really let it surrender, and it will land where it needs to land, where it meets a tension pattern, right? It only goes so far as that pattern will allow. But as you lay here, you may find it starting to shift and change as the openings begin to occur through the spine and the rib cage. And it's very common to have that elbow and shoulder start to sink back behind you more. And then turn your head to center. And bring the knees up to center. And then roll over to the other side. Knee bone, wrist bone again. 90-degree angle, of course, at the knee joint. And then your palm up on the side of your waist. With your elbow and shoulder softening back behind you. Being present to whatever experience your body is bringing forth for you. What is it communicating with you now? And then turn your head to center and bring your knees up. Hold both thighs side by side. We'll get another alternate leg, or another tailbone pose in, I should say, with alternate leg. So bring your hands to your right knee, extend your left leg over the support. And you're going to let your shoulders rest back. So keeping your knee aligned under the same side ear, supporting this leg so fully that it surrenders its care to you. There's no bracing and half holding, right? And you can let your shoulders rest back. That'll allow the weight of your hands and arms to translate down your thigh and into your pelvis, where we're able to access these tailbone muscles. And then bring your left leg up, hold both thighs. Let yourself observe the contrast here, which is very likely. It's possible that you might not, but both of you have been doing this for a while, so I'm sure you're noticing some contrast somewhere. And then bring your hands to your left knee and extend the right leg straight over. Let those shoulders rest back, your elbows in by your side. That's the weight of your hands and arms, just the natural weight without pulling in, just where the natural weight lands on your knee, presses your thigh bone into the hip socket. As you monitor that the knee stays under the same side ear. Your shoulders rest back. And noticing if there's any contrasting experiences or even just simply what is for you in this moment. And then bring your knees up. Hold both thighs for a couple of breaths as you observe where your body's landed after doing both sides. Can feel like a hollowing in my belly. And you can roll to the side. Press up with your hands and arms. A hollowing will occur when you're tight. Everything gets very squat. Look, everything gets squat and kind of pushed out, right? The organs of your torso actually get distended. They're like pushed out of place when things are tight through here. Okay, so when we release and there's a lengthening, there's space for everything to come in, and you can kind of feel this hollowing sometimes in your belly. So I like to share what I'm experiencing sometimes with you guys, because maybe you don't have the words to describe it yet, you know, which is fine. You can work. It's part of the process to try to find the words to the new experience. But that's why before we do abs, unless it's a marker pose, we will release something. So we make space for ourselves to do that ab work. We're not like taking something and making it squatter and squatter and squatter, right? All right, little side teaching. But we're going to do lunge again before we do bridge, and bring this class to a landing today.
That was very interesting. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes people, you know, they think, oh, I need to lose weight. I've got all this extra in my belly, and it's I'm going to say always because we have spinal tension. It always, to a degree, some of it is the tension that pushes things forward. So it's not all extra weight. It's things moved out of place. Okay, so squared off, we're going to lean to the left. Move that right foot forward. Lean into the left hand and pull the low right belly sideways onto the thigh as much as we can. Maybe it's different. See if you can move more to the side now after all of this, right? Bring the palm underneath the chest or the front low ribs. You're going to push in, lift and lengthen, and maybe there's more lengthening, right? Our second time around. Lower your head, shift your hips forward, rearranging to get the wrist under the shoulders, and of course the ankle under the knee, so we can completely lean down and in through our bones. We were noticing if we were leaning in, right, the first time. Maybe that sensation under your hands, foot, and knee feels different this time. You could, if you're not bracing it as much, right, you could literally, that could translate into the ability to even lean in at all or very much. Bring your shoulder blades together, slide them down towards your waist. Let your neck and head lean down even a little more. That back open hip may yawn open. And then press into your hands and shift back. Bringing your knee to the floor, and then of course we're going to lean right and bring that left foot forward and through. Reach into your low right belly, dig through the tissue, pull it gently but deeply sideways onto your thigh. Lift and lengthen your rib cage forward towards your knee. Lower your hands, lower your head. Shift forward. Noticing any of the changes in your lunge from compared to the first time. It's remarkable what your body can and is willing to do if given the right conditions to create the change. Lean into your bones. Bring your shoulder blades toward one another, slide them down towards your waist. Let your neck and head sag forward. The back open hip may also, through all this beautiful, precise alignment, it may start to yawn toward the floor. Okay, and then press into your hands, shift your hips back, and bring your knee to the floor. Put your blocks back for your Shavasana stack so they're ready. And we're going to come onto our backs for bridge pose again. So have your head support. Come onto your back. Bring your feet on the floor. You don't need to undo everything. Just have your heads, have one head support. I want you to be mindful of blanket folding conservation. You shouldn't, you have 8 blankets, I think. You shouldn't need extra blanket from your stack there, Jennifer. So you can leave your stack ready to go, right?
Yeah, I'm working to get it to this so I can.
Because otherwise, if you'll learn blanket folding conservation as you go, because you'll go, oh, I don't want to miss the pose, right? Anyway, just sharing that so you get, suck the nectar out of everything. So bring your feet close to your hips, next to or close, right? and bring your feet in that Tadasana angle, big toe ball joints touching, the heels slightly apart. And you're going to press into your feet and press your knees away from you, towards your feet. Check to see that you haven't gone too high. So slide your hands underneath your buttocks. And make sure that that's all the height that you've created. Okay, you shouldn't be too high and not too low where you can't slide your hands under, and then let your hands come out. And start to notice what is the last vertebrae on the floor and what is the first vertebrae that's off the floor. And boy, oh boy, that's very different from the first time. You could even bring your hands in and notice with your hands if you can slide them. For me, I can't even really slide my hand under. No. So something had to let go, right, in order for us to get more vertebrae on the floor in the first round. So now start to let your vertebrae that aren't on the floor, start to roll them down one at a time. Easy peasy, one and the next, your hips, your buttocks, till you're completely down. And then we're going to do it one more time. So press into your feet, drive your knees towards your feet, away from your head. Check to see that you've only lifted just about it's about 3/4 of an inch to an inch, essentially. You can slide your hands underneath. So you check and then let your hands come out again. You're using your hamstrings, right? You can feel the hamstrings working. Maybe it's even harder because your hamstrings are working more now than before. Maybe it's easier because your spine is open. There's many, many options here. But notice how much of your spine is on the floor compared to the first round. I was way up here, just below my chest, essentially, the bra line. And now I'm all the way down here, just a little above my sacrum bone. Okay. And then we're going to let each vertebrae that's not on the floor start to roll down one at a time, one at a time, one at a time. So your hips and buttocks are down. Okay, and then bring your knees up, hold your legs. We're going to do 2 this time. What did you notice, Jennifer? And I'll let you unmute yourself after you hold your knees for a few breaths, Nuria. So go ahead, Jennifer. What did you notice?
I'm really just noticing something now, and that's a nice feeling in the sacrum.
Yeah, but this can release the sacrum. It's also why it could be sore when people have some of that, like I mentioned in the beginning, some SI stuff going on. It's like, it can be sore too. So, but if it releases, it's yummy. Were you able to get your vertebrae? You can come, you can roll over and come up now. Were you able to get your vertebrae, your torso to sag more from the first time to the second time?
Was I able to get it more what?
To sag. Right, our knees were going this way, which pulls things up, but sometimes we can hold our torso, but once we release, it'll start to sag down. Remember how I was saying, like, what is the first vertebrae on and what is the first vertebrae off? That's how we're measuring that.
Yeah, I didn't notice the sag.
Okay, yeah, well, we'll practice next week and
Yeah,
follow things there. What about you, Noria?
I didn't quite follow that, the spine thing.
Okay, so next week I want us all to pay attention to that because that's us measuring essentially release. But go ahead.
No, that's about it.
Okay,
Yeah,
were you able to find your hamstrings well, or was that challenging?
Yeah, well, I think that maybe if I could get my feet closer to the buttocks, I might feel them more, but I do feel them.
Okay.
I do.
I think they're engaging. But it's how close the heels are to the buttocks will affect more what happens in the torso really than the hamstrings. They're both close and further will still engage hamstrings, but different effects in the torso. So how close do you think you're getting? Like a handprint or finger or farther?
Maybe a hand.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. You know, the more you release, the more the knee will bend and you'll get closer and closer over time too.
Mhm.
Maybe not this series, but next time when we get to this, you know, again, it's really neat to see. I remember that at the beginning of my journey and I couldn't get my feet that close, you know, and now I'm doing it. It's kind of cool to watch. All right, so let's do our closing twist and Shavasana. The muscles that are on the back of our body, it's like we have like the 2-year-old syndrome where it's like, if I can't see it, it's not there, right? It's a little harder, more challenging, maybe I should say, to connect with things we don't see. So it's good to practice it. Okay, so we're gonna roll to the right this time again. So bring your knees up and roll to the right. Knee bone, wrist bone, of course. Get that 90-degree angle at your knee joint and your palm on the side of your waist. Keeping your head towards your knees will give you the most amount of twist. Let your elbow and shoulders soften behind you. Turn your head to center. Bring your knee up to center. Roll to the left. All those same angles. Just being present to your experience, to your body temple. Its abilities and resiliency. And then turn your head to center. Bring your knees up. And rest back in Shavasana again. Allowing yourself to notice your toes and feet. Notice your ankles and legs. Become aware of your hips, hip joints, and pelvis. Notice your belly and chest. Become aware of your fingers, thumbs, hands, and wrists. Notice the length of your arms. underarms and shoulders. Notice how your whole back lays on the floor. Your upper back, mid back, waist, hips and buttocks, sacrum and tailbone. Notice through the shoulders into the neck, face and head. Being aware of your whole body, outside, inside, all at the same time. Or being aware of awareness itself. Follow your awareness into its source. Rest in that. And allow a nice, long, deep in-breath with a soft and easy emptying. And another. Wiggle your toes and feet. Wiggle and stretch your fingers and hands. Stretching, moving in any way you'd like. And then bringing your knees up to your chest and rolling over to your side. Pressing up with both hands. And coming up for our seal and sitting in a comfortable seated position. Bringing your palms together in front of your heart. Namaste.
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 If you
Thank
have
you.
you're welcome. If you have a moment, I want to describe something before we leave today. It's also a celebration. My right hip and the thigh bone, I've told you guys before, I pulled that out. It's been so loosey-goosey. There have been times it's actually come out, right? And when I do less practice, I feel the muscles still pull it out a little. Like I have literally pulled it out and impinged it, like, okay, but sometimes it still does this. And when I don't do my practice, I feel it. And I'm like, and then when I do the practice, the muscles let go and I feel it go right back where it normally goes. Okay. But because this is so loosey-goosey, the other side has been stabilizing a lot. And I felt a real difference in this ending Shavasana today. On my pelvis, laying in the floor, I was like, this was really heavy. So I think something's finally the journey, right? But there's like, when do we get to certain layers? Who knows? I think there's a layer that's letting go right now. And it was like, I felt like lopsided in my Shavasana because it was so heavy. And I was like, oh, wow, cool.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, yeah. And so look for these things with yourself. You're like, I don't normally lay like this. This feels, you don't know until the contrast, right? I keep saying the contrast is the teacher, right? So the contrast went boink.
Mhm.
And now I'm like, oh, we're doing this layer now, aren't we? Cool. Anyway, keep yourself so deliciously present. So you notice like this is happening, that's happening. Okay, in your own practice and when we're together. With
Right.
that, I bid you a beautiful day.
Love to you all.
Love to you.
Yeah.
Keep up your practice. Love yourself more. Not less, more. All right.